You ever walk into your cigar lounge looking for that one particular cigar and you decide, well, yeah, I can just browse a little bit. I'm not going to buy anything else. And lo and behold, there's that one cigar that catches your eye. That only happens to me, right? Just to me. Well, just last week I went in for my Steady Eddie, which is the T52 from Drew Estate. I like to keep some on hand, but I go through them so quickly that I have to continue to go to the shop at least once a week to restock. Should probably just buy a box and that'll make things a little bit easier. But hey, sometimes you go in there, you grab three, you grab four, and a few other things. But I was running into the cigar lounge just to get my Steady Eddie, and I decided to take one lap around the walk-in humidor, and lo and behold, in the dark recesses of the humidor is a brand new box of EP Carrillos. And I'm a Carrillo fan. So I decided to investigate. And what I found out was is they had just unsealed a box of EP Carrillo 15th anniversary. This cigar right here, isn't it beautiful? And so I decided, well, maybe I should just get a few of these. And so that's what I did. I grabbed a handful, ran to the checkout counter, talked to my buddy for a few seconds, looked around to make sure that no one else saw me grab these because it was only one box. And I would imagine if I went back the next day, they'd all be gone. So anyway, quickly paid. Let's just say I pushed it a little bit to get home to unwrap one of these and give it my honest review. And that's what I'm going to share with you now. There are three things that I absolutely loved about the 15th anniversary. And there are three things that I didn't like so much. But before I share what I didn't like, let me tell you a little bit about the cigar itself. The EP Carrillo 15th anniversary cigar is a celebration. 15 years of excellence celebration. Master blender Ernest Perez Carrillo is one of the most respected figures in the premium cigar industry, but this is a limited release. Only 5,000 boxes exist with 15 cigars in each. Designed with a deep complexity, refined balance, and expert construction, the intent was to showcase E.P. Carrillo's dedication to quality, tradition, and innovation. The cigar was actually released this past November of 2024. It's from the Dominican Republic, and the factory is Tabacalera La Alianza. The wrapper is a 10-year aged Mexican San Andreas. The binder is 15-year aged Jalapa Nicaraguan. And the filler, get this, there are 8 filler tobaccos from Nicaragua and the Dominican Republic, all aged between 5 and 7 years. There are 3 vitolas. There's the Robusto, which is a 5 by 52, and this Toro is a 6.5 by 54. And there's also a Churchill, which is a 7 by 50. The estimated price for this cigar is about $20 or so, and I believe that's the price point where I paid for it in my local cigar shop. And the strength is medium to full. I wanted to pause this video to thank you for spending time with us. You could be anywhere. If you're enjoying this content and find it valuable, consider giving us a like, a follow, and a comment below. We would enjoy interacting with you about our common love, everything cigars. Now back to the video. On the appearance, again, this is a Toro, 6.5 by 54 pyramid, which means it tapers to a point from the shoulders to the head. The bands are beautiful. They're very ornate. You can see that they take up about 3/4 of the cigar itself. There's a band just below the shoulder here. There are 2 beautiful women on either side of the EP Carrillo embossed name and the 15th anniversary. This appears to be parchment paper is the only descriptive word that I can give it, that has the gold Carrillo embossed on it. And at the foot, there is a 15 Anniversario band at the very foot of this cigar, but it is absolutely beautiful. The wrapper itself is a dark milk chocolate. It is toothy. I notice the wrapper lines around this actual cigar itself. The veins are kind of medium. To the touch is very, very firm. It's very firm, very little give to it. And the bouquet and dry taste, thick earth. It smells as though it just grew out of the ground. There were hints of chocolate and medium roast coffee bean, medium roast, not espresso, medium roast, and notes of barnyard. I gave this a straight cut with my scissors, and my dry taste on it, it was an unencumbered, easy draw. There was a little sweetness, a small amount of pepper on my tongue, and again, that barnyard was present. After I toasted the foot, it was very clean toast on the foot, really good combustion, and again, confirmed a great draw on this particular cigar. Medium white smoke, and the notes that I received from the very initial light was coffee, nuts. Couldn't tell exactly what nut I was actually tasting. And I got some nougat notes, some nougat notes. Say that 3 times. The retrohale, there was no pepper. It was very clean on the retrohale. Creamy, mild is what I was getting on my palate itself. On the first actual third itself, starting to burn a little bit uneven around the 20-minute mark. And I had to touch it up with my lighter. There was just no way of getting it to correct, despite what I tried to actually do to get it to burn properly on its own. I had to keep blowing through it like it was a straw, and I had to puff frequently, more frequent than I wanted to do. I really wanted to sit back and enjoy the cigar, but if I didn't continue to puff on it, let's say every 45 seconds to a minute, the cigar acted as though it wanted to go out. So this continued actually on throughout the entire first third. The notes that I was getting was, again, cream, dark chocolate, nougat, and black pepper on the retrohale. It was a medium body cigar with medium strength on that very first third, and the draw remained really, really good. I dropped my first ash maybe around the 30-minute mark, but when I dropped that first ash, it was solid white, but I noticed that it was starting to flake a little bit after I dropped that ash. On the second third, again, I had to puff too frequently to prevent the cigar from going out. The burn remained inconsistent. Just could not get it to correct. So in my second third, I had to touch it up again a second time. In the second third, I was getting a light black pepper. That heavy earth note came back, but it still had that sweet nugget lingering on my palate with a creamy finish, which was really, really enjoyable. In the second third, it moved from medium and started to head in the lower half of full strength. The body was still medium and very, very mild on the retrohale. Draw, still very good, very consistent. And that draw was very consistent throughout the entire smoke itself. Really good smoke output. And in that second, third, that ash really started to flake a lot. As I was puffing, it was coming off the end. I was landing on my clothes, just landing on the desk and my journal in front of me. So that was a bit unpleasant. On the final third, no noticeable change in the tasting notes. Still the same coffee bean, heavy earth, but it still had that nutty, nougat, creamy finish, which I really, really enjoyed. There was slight pepper on the retrohale. It was still in the range of medium to full, and the body was also medium to full. This last third, the draw began to tighten a bit, but it wasn't noticeable enough that it was something that I was going to jot down as unenjoyable. The ash itself, like I said, still very, very, very flaky. It wasn't coming off in whole chunks as you would expect. So I spent a lot of time dusting myself. My final notes on this, three things that I really liked. The cigar is just beautifully dressed. I really enjoyed the bands. And as a band collector and keeping a journal, it was really nice to have three bands, very large band around the shoulder, then the more parchment paper kind of wrapper around the midsection. And at the very foot, there was a very nice ornate 15 Anniversario band, which completed the cigar. I loved the strength of the cigar, medium to full, and that creamy, nutty finish was just a compliment to the other notes that I was receiving from the cigar. So most oftentimes, the draw can make or break the cigar. The draw was really good. So that was a plus. What I didn't like, inconsistent burn. I had to touch it up 2 times. I had to engage or puff the cigar just too frequently to keep it lit. And the snow light flakes of ash was just a little bit much, right? I spent a lot of time cleaning up from the ash itself. So how did you rate the smoking experience with the EP Carrillo 15th anniversary? Have you had it? If you have, leave me a comment below. If you have not, leave me a comment below and we'll talk about, again, the final experience that I've had with the Carrillo 15th anniversary. Appearance and construction, which is firmness, texture, and consistency. I gave it a 3.5. It was very firm, very firm. The texture was toothy and it was firm and toothy throughout the cigar. But again, just very ornate banding on the cigar. So I gave it a 3.5. The bouquet and dry taste, which is the aroma and the actual flavor profile. The bouquet, as I mentioned, heavy earth, just like it had just grown from the soil, which was very appetizing. Some notes of chocolate and coffee bean. So if you're a chocolate lover, coffee, who doesn't like coffee? Great aromas on the cigar, dry taste, slight pepper spice on that. So bouquet and dry taste, I gave it a 4. The smoking action, which is combustion, draw, smoke, and ash. Really good combustion. Draw, maintained almost a flawless draw throughout the cigar, tightened up just slightly in the last third. The smoke was steady, white smoke, lots of smoke, but the ash, and I'm not going to go any further on the ash. It was just a reason why I took this down a bit. So my smoking action rating was a 3.5. The final finish, which is flavor and sensation. Again, enjoyed the creamy, nutty, nougat flavors of the cigar. The sensation, creamy, lasted on the palate. I enjoyed the cigar. The final finish, I gave it a 3.5. Cigar to value. So, which is the smoking experience for the price. This is a $20 cigar. With having to touch it up with the inconsistent burn, with the flaky ash, I felt like this cigar could have been a little bit better. So cigar to value, I gave it a 3 out of 5. My overall experience, my overall rating uh, was a 3.5 out of 5, which is, again, above average. But with the EP Carrillo brand itself, this cigar to me did not meet the brand, EP Carrillo brand, that we've all come to know and love. He's crafted masterpieces such as La Historia and, oh, The Pledge. The Pledge. So, in summary, this cigar contained rare, extensively aged tobaccos. They create a medium to full body experience with a rich flavor profile, that cream, that nutty, that nougat, notes of dark chocolate, coffee bean, nuts, pepper. And Carrillo cigars have been synonymous with excellence for decades. His ability to create well-balanced cigars is almost unparalleled. However, the 15th anniversary came up a little short of Carrillo standards for me. So thank you for joining this review of the 15th anniversary by EP Carrillo. If you're looking for other medium to full cigars, I have the perfect video for you right here. See you there, and cheers.